Hello, greetings everyone, and welcome to an enlightening journey into the depths of timeless wisdom within our fast-paced world, modern world. I'm Arunda Vijayaratna, your host for today's special event, Navigating the Path to Nibbāṇa, part 2 of 4 series, lecture number 40. We're embarking on an extraordinary exploration, part of our 4-lecture series that commenced last week. Dhamma USA remains steadfast in its commitment to share the profound wisdom of Buddhism and its relevance in our contemporary lives. Today we continue our Thursday guest lecture series. Join us every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time via the Dhamma USA social network to gain insights from esteemed guest speakers worldwide. Our speaker today is a remarkable individual, a medical doctor, a dedicated Buddhist practitioner, and an experienced meditator. Her diverse background brings a wealth of knowledge and practical experience to this enlightening lecture series. In this 40th lecture, our esteemed speaker, a medical doctor and meditation practitioner, will delve into the practical path to Nibbāṇa, drawing inspiration from Buddhist teachings and her personal journey. She will guide us through self-discovery, mindfulness, and the spiritual path towards our ultimate liberation. So now, without further delay, let's welcome our esteemed speaker back to our virtual studio as we continue this enlightening journey into the world of Nibbāṇa. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
If you can maybe make a brief introduction of yourself, Doctor.
Yes. Hi. So we started on our journey in part 1, where we spoke about the path to Nibbāṇa, the practical steps. And today we will continue that. We will really focus on the practical steps we have to take. And before we go any further, I thought it'll be best to recap what we learned in part 1. So, attaining Nibbāṇa is really training our mind to see things as they truly are. This is a very important concept that we learned in part 1. And we realized that the time to embark on this journey is now. And we have to stay focused, we have to be patient, and yes, we can attain Nibbāṇa. We should not postpone this and think that we can do it some other time. We should be able to start on this journey now. And we learned that it was common sense. And by part 4, you will realize that it is indeed common sense. And this was something I learned as I am also pursuing the same journey, that it is easier for us to contemplate when we think in a native language. We talked about the 4 stages as we embark on this journey, which is stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, and Nibbāṇa. And we talked about multiple steps. And the first step is what we focused on last time, which is learning to be the best person you can be, or we call it a sealer. And also learn the importance of taking care of our body, like, eating healthy food, getting adequate sleep, which is something a lot of us don't get, drinking enough water, and trying to reduce the kinds of responsibilities that you have. Because if you have way too much responsibilities, this is not a easy journey for us to undertake. And then, of course, just now, all the distractions that we get, especially with social media, and then also all the horrible news that we continue to get from the TV and the mainstream media. So, too much of this, if it is cluttering up our mind, it is very hard for us to embark on this journey. So, please take care of yourself first. Then, as part of being the best person you can be, is keeping the 5 precepts. And we went into a great detail on that in part 1. So now we have like the overview in part 1, and today we will talk about the subjects that are outlined here in part 2. As we were getting ready to embark on this journey, we learned that we have to learn to be the best person we can be. And today we will learn how do we get our mind to be ready to embark on this journey. And that will be the first part of this conversation today. And then we will actually embark on this journey and learn a little bit about the contemplating part or vipassana part of meditation, focusing on the body. So that's kind of the game plan for part 2. So step 1 was learning to be the best person you can be. And step 2 is going to be training our mind to be the best tool it can be. Okay. So in the last conversation we had, most of the time our mind is like a stormy ocean. And then our goal to make it a better tool is to make it like a calm lake. So how do we do that? That'll be what we'll be focusing on. So we do that by meditation. So a stormy ocean becomes a calm lake, and the kind of meditation we use for this is called samatha meditation. So that's a word you may have heard, and this is the basic way this is used mostly to calm the mind. Okay. And then comes the part that is crucial for us, which is to observe our own mind, and whatever you saw there, we have to contemplate on what we saw. And that is the real scientific method that we talk about these days in school and in university. So in order to carry on this experiment of looking at our mind, we really need a nice, clean magnifying glass, which is our mind. So first we calm the mind so that we have the best tool to look and contemplate. Okay? So this is the two-step process. And remember the 2 words, samatha and vipassana. Okay, now meditation. There are 1,000 methods, lots of great books, and sometimes you get overwhelmed. But choose 1 or 2, and I'll share a couple. And if we have time, we will try to at least do mini practice sessions so that it's easy for you to understand exactly what we are talking about. But once you try doing different things, and once you find something, aha, that makes my mind calm, that's the one you pick. And then you have to practice, just like, playing tennis or playing the piano, anything. You have to practice. You are not going to be good at anything on day one. So that is the first part. And as you practice, you keep listening to others and saying, hey, how are you doing it? And then, learn from those and refine the method that is perfect for you, with the mission to calm your mind. Okay? Now, again, this was mentioned by Venerable Markandaval Sudarsana Thero. He talks about harvesting paddy. What you do is you hold the paddy in one hand and then only you can cut it. It's the same when it comes to any form of meditation. The first thing you have to do is to anchor the mind, and then you get that anchored mind to focus on an activity. Those are the two principles of any form of meditation, samatha meditation, that is used to calm the mind. So I will share 3 simple methods. And before we do that, as people who have thousands of things to do, these are some simple things that I personally do. Wear comfortable clothes, don't wear tight fitting stuff. And for us, special, in this day and age, please be in a safe place, because if you're not in a safe place, you really cannot be messing around with these things. So make sure you are in a safe place and sit in a comfortable chair, because the whole trying to do something new, so everything else should be perfect, because then it's easier for you to start practicing. Again, if you have like some kind of a urgent something with a deadline, there's no way you're going to meditate. So finish all these things that you have to do, urgent things. And then don't try to like do, okay, I'm going to do 5 hours of meditation on day one. It's not going to happen. So I, even like when I'm studying, you always try to do a tiny little bit, like you have a goal of making it small. Because then what happens is, if you did a little bit more, you feel good, you feel better. So always try to do what you can, rather than try to, think I'm going to meditate 5 hours or something like that. So 5 minutes is fine. The idea is to start doing it daily. And as Buddhists, especially I'm from Sri Lanka, so we first pay homage to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and then we traditionally recite the 5 precepts. And then this is something that I found very useful, because no matter what all our deadlines are, there's always other things that's happening in our life. And it's good to tell your mind, take a deep breath, let it out, and then say, okay, I'm going to put everything I have to do away for about 10 minutes or whatever the time that you had decided on. Say, okay, everything goes out of the door. I'm going to be in this quiet room, quietly doing my thing, and I'm not going to think of anything else. So make that determination and tell your mind, please, everything has to go out. It's important to give your mind permission to be here. And that's a very useful thing I do to this day. Okay, first, simple meditation. Ajahn Brahm once mentioned this. So you sit comfortably, close your eyes, and then I personally like to anchor my mind a little bit in front of me with your eyes closed. And then with your mind, you just start saying these 2 phrases: be in the present and be kind. And you just focus on those 2 meaning of those 2 phrases, and you keep repeating it. A very simple, easy thing you could do anywhere, anytime. And for me, after a little bit, it gets synchronized with my breathing, and that's perfect because the whole idea is to get your mind to be in one place and get from that stormy ocean kind of place to a calm lake. A very easy thing you could practice in a anywhere. So this is one thing. The second, this is one of my favorite things because I don't know, it helps me a lot, is metta or compassion meditation. And there's a little twist to the way that we have to do it because our goal is not to get our mind calm. We have a bigger job to do, which is to attain Nibbāṇa. And I will tell you why I do it this way in part 4, the real explanation. But for now, I'm just going to explain what we do. And that would be you close your eyes again, and with your mind eye, you start going through different parts of your body. I usually break it up into like 6, which is with your eyes closed, you look at your mind, your brain, and you wish it well. Okay, in your native language, whatever the language, it doesn't matter, something comfortable, and you wish it well. And then you bring your mind to the face, wish it well. Chest, your heart. It is very critical that you pause at the level of your heart and you wish it well. Abdomen, arms, and legs. Very easy. Now, one of the important things this is a goal to calm our body, is do not please use the word my brain. Avoid using the word my brain and just say, may the brain be well. You will know why I'm saying that in part 4, but for just now, as you start practicing, just close your eyes, visualize your brain, and wish it well. Wish your face well, your chest, heart, so on and so forth. Do not use the word mind. Okay, the famous Anapanasati, or the breath meditation. It's actually very nice if you learn to do it the correct way. And I learned a couple of simple, practical things that I'd like to share with you. Again, you sit comfortably, close your eyes, and the first thing you have to do is to kind of get your mind to see what's happening with the breath. So I personally take a deep breath and let it out, and let your mind kind of travel with the breath and come out. And as you do that, each of us, and it is very unique it's an individual thing, will start feeling the breath somewhere. For me, I feel the breath somewhere in the upper part of my chest. And then, like a spectator, you get your mind to be close to that place and just watch the breath go up and down. Okay? Some people apparently feel it by the tip of their nose, but anatomically, as a medical doctor, I find that very unlikely. But it doesn't matter where you feel it. What's important is to feel it go up and down. And now your mind, like a laser, goes with it. And it's a very soothing feeling because you don't have to think about the world, you don't have to think about anything, and then you just watch it go up and down. Now, a practical point for you, like especially if you are doing an exam, or sometimes we have to present in public, if you just close your eyes for like 5 seconds and just do this like 3 times, it really calms you down. So it's a very useful technique for you to use in those settings. But for us just now, our goal is to stop our mind being like a stormy ocean and make it be like a calm lake. Okay, so that is the third a method that you could use to calm your mind. So this picture I put there because it's like if you sit on the bank of a river and just watch this river go by. That's the same concept when it comes to this breathing business. You anchor your mind somewhere and you are a spectator and you see the breath go up and down. That is what it is. And as I said, first find out, take a deep breath and find out where do you feel it. And sometimes one day it might be up here, another day it might be a little bit lower. Who cares? That's not the point. The point is you just be with the breath. It can be long, it can be short, it does not matter. Your job is to calm your mind. Now, as I said before, the more you practice, the better you become. And baby steps, remember, but choose the one that resonates with you. That is very important. Now, as you practice, just like studying, your mind very easily starts getting focused on whatever the object that you point it to. And that's a good thing. But at the same time, be careful because it's a new experience for you. So say you're used to multitasking and then, checking your cell phone, which you should never do when you're driving, but you may do it from time to time. After you meditated for a little while, it becomes a little harder to do that, and it's not a good thing. So please be careful because you are training your mind to stay focused on one thing. So do one thing at a time. Don't try to do multiple things all at once from a practical point of view. It's a good thing, but no, it's a new way of living. So some of your old habits, you may have to discard them. So be careful, especially with driving in the United States. So now we know multiple ways that we can calm the mind, or as we call it, samatha meditation. But the more important thing for us is now we have to be like a scientist and learn certain theoretical concepts and then actually observe your mind and see, is this really true? Okay. And that part, we call it vipassana. So you observe your own mind and you contemplate on what you saw. So today, as the first step of that vipassana meditation, we will talk about how we contemplate about our body. And that is called kayanupassana. Now, there are like many techniques. I'm going to share one that helped me. So we will first talk about the concept itself, that is learning the theory, and then we will learn how do we observe this and contemplate and think about what you saw and confirm the theoretical concept you learned. Okay, so now you know that this concept is true because you saw it. And then your mind still is used to the old way of thinking and looking at things in the world. So now we have to train our mind to think in this new way. Now, let me get a more practical example. Let's say you want to play the piano, right? So the first you take, like, you look at the notes and you kind of say, okay, and you play it slowly. So first you looked at and got the theory, and then you learn what notes to press. Still, you can't play it like the real song. Next comes the repetition, to the point that you keep practicing and you keep practicing. And there comes a time where you don't even have to think of it, you can play the song. Same concept. You learn the concept, you observe and confirm that yes, these notes are correct, and then you have to practice. Same three concepts. Okay. So, what are these theoretical concepts we have to learn? They are very simple and real common sense. So, the first one is we have to realize that we have two main parts. What are they? We have a body, which all of us can see. And then we have what we call the mind. That's the one that thinks. And we all know that, right? So we have two main parts, a body and a mind. A simple concept. So this is something, if you pause for a think, you will realize it's the truth. But we don't think about it, which is our body. Now, as a medical doctor, I know this very well. You know, our body functions autonomously. Like, I can't tell my heart to do something. Certain things come together and the heart will beat. And as I'm talking to you, my heart might stop and I might drop dead. I have zero control over that situation. So the body is really an autonomous thing. We don't think about it, but it's the truth. Okay. And what does our body need? I mean, we think we need thousands of things. We really don't. We need oxygen. We need to breathe. We need water, right? And we need energy. And to get energy, we get energy from food. So, air, water, food. This is all we need. We don't need TVs, for one thing, right? So basically, our body needs these three things. This fascinated me so much. Uh, our body really is influenced by five things. And these are things we learn for science too. And it's amazing. Lord Buddha had talked about this so many years ago, thousands of years ago. The first thing that our body is influenced by are genes. The second thing, Eranda, can we get that bottom strip off, or is it a permanent thing? Do
Oh,
you know
yes, we
how to do
can
that?
take it off.
Oh, thank you. So, so our body is influenced by the genes. And the second thing is the environment. Now, I just put a picture of the seasons. That's not what I'm really talking about. It's the environment that surrounds our body, you know, the pollutants, the different things that we are exposed to, because that will also make our body behave in certain ways. Number three is a concept called cause and effect. What does this mean? As a medical doctor, and all of us, you know, if somebody went to McDonald's every day and kept eating large amount of hamburgers, what will happen to them? They'll become obese, right? So it's not like rocket science. Something will cause something else to happen. And when it comes to our body, it's the same. So cause and effect. And then the last thing is, however much I want. When I was younger, I had black, dark hair. Now it's getting gray. So, as like that, there is a natural cycle to our life. We can't stop ourselves from aging. And everything else too has this cycle. And that is another fact. And the most important and the useful fact is our body is influenced by our mind and our thinking. So these are common sense things that we now know, which was also taught long ago by Lord Buddha. And those days it used to be called Niyama Dharma. And so the genes, the word they used was bija. And for the environment, they used the word utuniyama. And cause and effect is called kammaniyama. The natural cycle is called dhammaniyama. And the mind is called chittaniyama. But it's easier, as you can see, for us to use the terms that are familiar to us. So that is what our body is influenced. So now we learned multiple facts and we'll go forward. Let's, for a moment, look at our body. What do we have in this body? We obviously breathe in and out. So obviously we have air in our body. And we all know that the human body has a lot of water or liquid, right? And then now I have actually dissected and actually have seen these parts, but we all know we have a liver, a kidney, and so on and so forth, a lot of solid parts. And then finally, those of us who have done science, even at grade 6 level, we learned that every cell in our body has energy, right? This whole universe, there is energy of different kinds. So our body too has energy. So solid, liquid, air, energy. Those are the 4 things that our body is made out of. Not rocket science, it's common sense, right? Now, one of the things that I mentioned at the beginning, and I'll repeat again, is stop using words that have no meaning to you. So I personally, when I'm meditating and contemplating, the words that I chose are solid, liquid, air, energy. Whatever native language or whatever language, it doesn't matter, use something to denote these meanings. That's more important than using an unknown Pali or Sanskrit word, okay? Because we are not interested in learning a language. We are interested in the contemplation and training of our mind. And the easiest route is what we should take, okay? All right. So far, nothing exotic. It's all common sense. Now let's look around us. We know that we are made out of those 4 elements. Let's look at a friend. And you can look at me on the screen. I too am made out of the same 4 elements. So we can conclude that all human beings are made out of solid components, liquid components, air, and energy. Common sense. Now let's look outside at a tree or think of a tree. And what do they have? They also have solid components. They have air, they have water, and they also have energy, right? Now, the proportions of each one of them would be different from a human being. Let's look at an inanimate object that is made out of something that we found in the universe. Something like a chair. A lot of solids, a little bit of liquid, right? Some air, and then every cell, every molecule in this world, there's an element of energy. So again, the same thing. So we can say, whether we are talking about the whole earth, Mother Earth, or the universe, these 4 elements are there in our body, in our friends' bodies, in the trees, the inanimate objects, and the whole world. So everything is made out of these 4 elements. Common sense, nothing exotic. Okay. So these are now concepts that I'm going through. We haven't started meditating or doing anything, but first we have to learn the theory. So this is something I repeated in my part 1, but I'm going to, for make it easier, just repeat it again. We human beings are a lot like the robots that we created. So in this particular picture, you see on the left-hand side of the screen, the robo has something that looks like an eye. What does that do? It gets data, which is mostly light, and that sensing contraption will take that data to the processing center, which is the computer that is inside the head part. And then you see something like an ear. It'll take sound and take that data into the processing center. And what does the processing center do? It'll process that data and come up with some kind of a conclusion, and then use that conclusion and follow an algorithm and create an action. For example, the robo on the right hand side of your screen maybe start walking when it sees a yellow flower, right? So what happens? The light entered the eye and then got processed into whatever it is, and then that confirmation created an action, again another algorithm that instructed the things that look like legs to start going forward. This is how a robo works. Let's see what happens to us. We too have 5 outside sense organs, and in the Buddhist philosophy, the mind is the sense organ for thoughts. So let's look at the easy one, the eye. Light from different objects will come through the eye, enter the body, and be directed to the mind. And it's the mind that decides and deciphers what that thing was. And then it's the mind that will decide what to do with that data. And let's say the eye saw a tiger coming in. Now we have to run. So the mind will tell the body, you have to run. So basically, the eye got the data in, it was processed, and that data and the conclusion created a set of actions, and then it was sent to the body, and then the body went ahead with whatever the instructions it got. So the bottom line for us is that it is our mind that interpreted the data, and it was our mind that decided on the course of action. The body is like a robo just carrying on this action. The body has no power to carry on any action without instructions from the mind. The mind and the body and how they interact with each other. That is the concept that you just learned. Okay, so now to summarize, what did we learn? We learned 4 main concepts. Number 1, we have 2 main parts. We have a body and we have a mind. So those are the 2 main parts we have. When we look at our body, it's made out of 4 main elements. Air, water, solids, and energy. Right? Very easy. Number 3, when we pause for a moment, we realize, wow, everything else in this world, which is not just my body, your friend's body, everyone else's body, trees, inanimate objects, Mother Earth, and the whole universe is made out of what? Solids, liquids, air, energy. So everything in this whole universe is made out of these 4 elements. And then we realized, aha, there is a way that the mind and the body interacts with each other. And also, the big boss is the mind. It's the mind that interprets the data, and it's the mind that decides on the course of action. So, that is the fourth and the last main concept we learned. Very simple, nothing complicated. All right. So now we know a lot of concepts. These are things that we knew, but we never thought about, right? Now we have to see, now we have to be like scientists and really observe and see, is this really true? Okay, so let's learn how to do that, because if we confirm ourselves, not somebody else, ourselves, that yes, this is true, then we have to start training our mind to look at ourselves in this way. That is the training and the repetition, what we have to do. So before we go any further, I want you to close your eyes, and then just say your name and see what kind of image you get. Just pause for a moment, close your eyes, and just say your name and see what do you see. Now, open your eyes and you will notice that it really was like one big blob, right? You felt like one single unit. But we just now um, learned that it's really two parts. We have a body and we have a mind, right? So now, when we say our name, what we see is not really accurate, because we should have seen the body as one entity and the mind as another entity, but we don't. We see it as one. So now, first we have to check to see, is this statement that the mind and body are two parts, is that really true? And then, if it is true, we have to start training ourselves, our mind, to start seeing the two as two separate entities. So that is the rest of the talk will be on that. So, how do we do that? There are many techniques, and again, we'll sit comfortably, be in a safe place, as we said, and get rid of all the tasks. Say the 5 precepts. That is what we do in Sri Lanka and most of the Buddhist countries. So we finish that part. Take a deep breath and let it out slowly, and then say, okay, for the next 10 or 20 or whatever minutes, this is what we will do. And then now our mind is like crazy. It's going everywhere. So what we do? We use one of those samatha meditation techniques, but please don't do it for too long. Maybe like 2-3 minutes. Just a few minutes, because all we need is to calm the mind. So use one of those techniques or something else that works for you and try to calm your mind. Now, practically speaking, there are days that it will not calm down. That's okay. Try it. Try to get it as calm as you can, and then move on to the next part, because the next part is the more important part. So basically, now with our eyes closed, we visualize and look at our brain. And now this is important. This is not a chant. We are objectively, like scientists, looking at the brain and saying, are there really solid parts in there? Are there really liquid parts in there? Is there air? And of course, from our previous knowledge, we know there is energy. And then you come down to your face and again check, are there solid parts? There's liquid, there's saliva and all kinds of stuff. There is air, there is energy. So likewise, you go down each part, chest, heart is important, they say, so focus on the heart separately, and then abdomen, right and left arm, right and left leg. So in this, after you, this is part of the what we call the vipassana or contemplative meditation. So basically there you are checking to see, is this really true? So it's not like you say brain, solid, liquid, air, energy, and then say face. It's not like that. You have to actually look. It's the looking. And then the mind, sometimes gets bored and says, I know, I already know this. I don't want to listen to this. Then you have to say, no, this is the time you are going to objectively look at it and see for yourself. Yes, the face is made out of those four elements. So likewise, you go through each part. And next, you look at a friend, like again, think in your mind a friend and see, okay, does his brain have these four elements? So on and so forth. His face, chest, abdomen, so on and so forth. So now, once you actually using this calm mind, look at each part of our body, you begin to realize, yes, they are made out of these four elements. And then this is like a routine that you follow. You look at a tree outside, an inanimate object like a chair. Then you think of the whole universe and realize, wow, everything is made out of these four elements, right? So that is the concept that we need to teach our mind to look at, so that when we see everything, we start looking at them and realizing the elements are the same that's in our body and in everything outside. Okay? Whether it's you, everyone else, a tree, an inanimate object, or the earth, it's the same. So that is the conclusion that you make, and you made that conclusion. It's not like me saying something theoretical, it's something you actually saw. Okay, so that is the first module of this journey and the first step that you are going to take. And as we go through the next stages, we will keep adding modules into that. And what we learned today in the official Satipatthana Sutra is called Kayanupassana. That's the formal name for it, but this is the easier way of understanding it. But remember, you have to do this every day. The more you practice, the more you will start seeing a separation of the body as one part of us and the mind as the other. We have 6 minutes. So every time I will try a little new thing. Now, when we study, we get bored. All kinds of weird things happen. And it's the same for meditation and studies. And they are really, you can categorize them into 5 parts, which is, we start, let's say, practically speaking, when we are studying for exam, all of a sudden you feel like going and seeing a movie or going out and having an ice cream or whatever. So that is called desire or craving. Yeah, we have to do one thing, but instead of doing that, we get the desire. And then sometimes it is a form of anger. Sometimes you think, am I really doing this? Is this really true? So that is called doubt. All kinds of doubts come. The same thing happens when we are studying, am I really studying the correct textbook? Is this the subject that I should study to get the best marks for my exam? all kinds of doubts. And the other is sometimes without any reason, you can't really like focus. Your mind becomes very restless and agitated. And then the last thing, and a very common thing, is you feel so bored, and we call it like, you don't feel like doing things. So these are the same things that we get when we study or when we try to meditate. And there are solutions to each one of those, but the more important practical ones are ones that we can use when we are studying, plus well as when we are meditating, and that is being mindful. So the first thing is you have to know that you got a craving, or you have to know that you feel bored and doesn't want to carry on doing it. So be mindful to know that this is happening in your mind. And the most important thing is don't hide it, acknowledge it. And then most of the time, let's say you got this urge to go out and have an ice cream. If you pay 100% attention to that, I got an urge to go and have ice cream instead of meditating, it disappears because, thoughts last a very short time. So if you really give it all the attention, it disappears. And I just put that thing about eating a cookie because let's say sometimes it's easier to get up, eat the cookie, come back and meditate. Don't waste your time trying to suppress it. Suppression never works for anything. Acknowledge it, open it up, and do something with it. And then the other thing is, of course, if you don't want to eat a cookie and you want to eat an apple, maybe you can go and do that. But more serious stuff like anger, restlessness, you may have to journal. We talked about journaling in part one, and that way it helps you to analyze what on earth is going on in our mind at that time. And if it is something horrible and it keeps coming up, forget meditation, try to find out why you are feeling so restless. And once you've done some technique, and we can talk about those, today we won't have time, but we can talk about it another time, is for each of these there are solutions. And once you figure out a solution, you can continue to use that and plan for the future. So that is the last slide on this today's part. So on part one, we learned about the basic steps and how to get ready, how to get your body ready. And today we learned how to get our mind ready. And then also, actually, we learned the technique of Kayanupassana or Vipassana meditation that will help us to separate our mind from the body. So next time, next Thursday, we will talk a lot about how the mind works and how do we scientifically look at our own mind and contemplate about the mind. So hopefully we'll get to see each other next Thursday. That is it, Aranda.
Thank you, Doctor, for your insightful presentation. It's now time for our online audience to engage. Please post your questions, keeping them concise so our esteemed guest speaker can provide meaningful answers. So we have one question here from Sud S. What is it that is trying to see the mind and body as two things instead of as one? Thank you.
Very good question. And it has a very simple answer. Uh, it's like me trying to explain what water is to someone who has never experienced it. But the moment you put your hand in water, you know what water is like. So, likewise, when we close our mind, it is part of the mind that you are using as the little magnifying glass to look at the mind. That is the tool we are using. So it is, in fact, the mind that interprets the world, and we are just pointing it to look at the mind and the body. I hope that answers it, because this is a training of the mind, and we are using the mind as a tool to train the mind. Hope that answers that question.
Thank you for the response, Doctor. The next question is, when we practice metta, loving kindness, we can also use I as samuti satcha, mundane truth. If we go to vipassana, we probably can use less I. What's your opinion, Doctor?
Very, very good question. Very good question. So, the reason, as children, I was born a Buddhist, so since I could remember, I think some 2 to 3 years of age, we were taught to do metta meditation, and we would say, may my body be well, and then may my mother be well, so on and so forth. But what I'm learning and realizing is, in part one, we talked how important it is that we repeat a certain thing in order to be better at it. So when we are studying, we constantly repeat something, and that's how we memorize, right? So a simple technique. Likewise, in part four, you will realize that we are trying to separate ourselves into two parts and learn that there is no solid me in this body or the mind. So those things we will come in part four. And as we embark on this journey with the intention of attaining Nibbāṇa, it's best to delete things that will cause obstacles, because if we start repeating every day during the meditation session, may I be well, and by part four you realize the true meaning of that I, and we are reinforcing a wrong concept. So what you are saying here is absolutely true. When we are starting on the journey, we certainly can use the word I, but I personally found it better to stop using the word I, because we are just repeating the wrong concept as we are trying to embark on a certain journey. So that is why I personally stopped using the word I. I hope that was clear. If not, we can talk more about it.
I kind of understand what you mean. I mean, there's no permanent I. It's just a thought thinking about a thought. Is that
Exactly. Yes. You got it. You got it. Yes. Yes.
I mean, yeah, of course, to practice in our day-to-day life, it's difficult, but you can break it down like that gradually.
Yes.
So for the next question, we need to get out of this samsara using the available 5 aggregates. We cannot simply forget this body as well, can we?
No, we can't. No, we can't. There's two practical statements to this. In our part three, the whole practically 3/4 of this, we will be talking about these concepts. So then it'll become a lot clearer. But what you're saying is absolutely true. But from a practical point of view, as a medical doctor, as I personally embarked on this journey, I realized we have to take care of our body. Hence the reason you have to sleep well, you have to eat right, because if we ignore those, because this is the tool we have, this is one of the tools we have. Let's say you had a car, And if you didn't put oil, you didn't check the tire pressure, you didn't take care of the car, that car is not going to last long. We need the car to go from A to B. So, in my opinion, and I agree 100%, we do have to take care of our body from a materialistic point of view as we embark on this journey. Yes, we do have to take care of it. I agree.
Can we use Kayanusati or Kayanupassana? I think that's the word, to eliminate our cravings and addictions, or is that too much of a leap?
Now, this is something I personally experienced. So, this was like the first mini step, and something very, it's hard to explain this, but you know that thing about like first calming your mind and then using that calm mind to get it to focus on the brain, see the four parts, so on and so forth. When you keep doing this, if you keep doing it even for 5 minutes daily, the key word is daily, your your mind changes. It's very hard to say how, but it changes. It starts seeing things differently, in a different way. And you will firsthand experience this. And that when you see things like that, your cravings and your addictions becomes less because of that. So it's not something you are that is not your target, but it is a result that happens, a positive thing that happens as we do this and as we train our mind to look at the world differently. Like already just merely looking at those slides, now your mind is thinking about it. You know, whenever you see a tree, now you look at it slightly differently. So, likewise, your worldview changes, and that's a good thing. And that way, your cravings and addictions will be less. I have some great explanations and nice slides for part four. And once we get to part four, you will 100% understand this statement. So, the short answer is yes, it will happen. How it happened, I will explain in part four.
Yeah, thank you for that answer, doctor. I just want to mention I'm coming back from working at a pain management clinic,
Oh,
and so we do also we're starting to do autonomic testing
aha.
for our patients because they have dysautonomia as well.
Yes, yes.
I know, there's the connection in the brain stem between the pain modulation centers and the respiration receptors or neurons.
The breathing, yes.
So yeah, I mean, of course, we want to promote as first line treatment like proper exercise, as in good posture, good breathing, because that's important. And I don't know if Lord Buddha, he definitely didn't mention yoga, but he definitely talked about the importance of having erect spine, which is
Yes.
something a lot of our patients have because low back pain is, I think, the second most common complaint for like not going to work
Yeah,
amongst
yeah.
Americans. And so
No, actually, I mean, that's the beauty of it. Like, the more you understand and start seeing things this way, the more everything else becomes clearer. You know, that is the beauty of it. And it's got nothing to do with some kind of a religion or something, because this is all common sense. You know, there's nothing like exotic about it. And that's the beauty of it. And then you can apply it for your studies, for everything else in your day to day life. So, yes, yes.
yeah,
Okay,
and I think you're right with looking at the body because a lot of the times for our generation, um,
yes.
maybe we are not someone's fault, but our perceptions of the body are kind of more jaded or more
I,
unrealistic.
unrealistic, and also because there's so much stuff outside, we don't get to spend that time contemplating and looking at ourselves. The moment you focus that mind towards us, things start becoming clearer. And that is useful for your life. So that's what it is. Yes.
So I thank you for taking the time to
Oh,
teach us during this lecture, Doctor. I just want to also say for the audience to stay updated and not miss any more of these transformative sessions, to remember to subscribe and follow us on Dhamma USA's social media platform for more insights and updates. For additional details, you can visit our website at www.dhammausa.org. We always extend a warm invitation to all Buddhist scholars and practitioners from around the world to join us every Thursday for our guest lecture series at 6 p.m. Pacific Time on Dhamma USA social media network. If our mission resonates with you, promoting peace, harmony, spiritual growth, please consider supporting Dhamma USA. Thank you for being part of this transformative event. We're excited to share this incredible journey with you as we explore the path to Nibbāṇa, seeking inner peace and wisdom within our fast-paced modern world. So thank you again, and thank you very much, Doctor, for your willingness in explaining this part 2 of the 4-part series on the path to Nibbāṇa. See you all again for the next session of this insightful series. Thank you.
Therun Saranai.
Therun Saranai.